Papillo
relaxing.
talk.
Yeah.
I like that.
A little Papillo talk.
I
with
think we
Floyd
just came up
Nation.
with our title. I was feeling pressured to come up with a title today, but no longer. This is Papillo Talk. Floyd Nation with Papillo Talk.
Justin's in the building.
Yeah.
Papillo talk.
That's
Pillow is
easing
here.
in.
The
into
pillow
our-
of winds.
Yes.
Love it.
Floyd reference from Bob.
Love
Classic.
it. How are you doing today, Will?
So far, so good. So this is our second podcast that we're doing. Glad to have you guys in here. This is my second one.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm glad to be here today. Show you guys the ropes a little bit because experience.
Lead the way.
So let's just start it off. Just hanging, chilling, like we're in a hot tub. Just
Just dudes in a tub,
just
you know?
dudes in the hot tub.
Hanging out, enjoying ourselves.
So Floyd Nation, this is our second podcast, and appropriate. We're pretty new as far as Floyd bands go. It's not like we're the very first of these touring Pink Floyd bands to exist.
No, we're relatively young, especially compared to the bigger guys too that are out there. They've been doing it for as many as 30 years on one of them, and
Right.
another one, 15 years perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And they know who they are. The
Right.
Machine, Britt Floyd, there's, Aussie Floyd, those are the big guys. But there's so many. I mean, you came from your own
Yes.
Florida-based
Sure did.
tribute
And
before Floyd Nation.
In fact, the Wall of Echoes was is the longest running Pink Floyd tribute band in the state of Florida.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Good to know.
they started in, I think, 2004, 2005.
Right on. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't come along until 2018, though.
Okay, so they were already active
Oh,
before.
yeah, they're very, very active.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, when it comes to Floyd facts, Bob, he's the go-to guy a lot of the time, especially regarding Rick Wright.
Sure.
It's endless. So much deep Rick Wright stuff.
Well, when you've been around for a while, for a number of years, you tend to accumulate the knowledge.
He is always my phone a friend. Whenever it comes to a Floyd fact that I need. Yeah, always a phone a friend.
It's good. It's good to know that.
Like, Bob, what year did that song come out?
Yeah. And yeah, he knows.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, we do this thing. This is our thing. Our why is this our thing though? Like, why, when there are these, there's so many other bands, why did we decide to, we're going to do this too? What made us decide to do this?
I think we found lightning in a bottle. Like, the first time we all played in a room together, we noticed there was something kind of special there. And we had to bring it to people. And we started looking at the best ways to bring it to people.
Yeah.
No doubt. We, looking back, I think when I first started in the band, the band itself was probably a couple months old, and I was a little apprehensive about during the first rehearsal with the band, and because when you start with a new band, you don't know the personalities you're going to deal with or the people you're going to deal with, and there's a certain bit of musical butt sniffing that goes on the first time.
Oh yeah, we were told before you shoot up we had to tighten up.
Yeah.
Hide the weed. Bob Harris is coming here.
Bob Harris, the clean-cut businessman. I had much shorter hair then too.
Oh, yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I come in all clean cut.
Now you got a team outside. Blow dryers ready.
I do,
The
yeah.
trailer. They're getting catered out
Yeah,
there.
people are asking for hair secrets and all this kind of hair styling secrets. But that first time I sat down and played with it, I felt there was something special. I think it probably wasn't until the second rehearsal when I felt a little more relaxed after the the first day jitters went by. The second time we played, I felt something special because we were playing. I remember the time too. We were playing Us and Them, and going through the piano part, the piano solo part, really classic Rick Wright piano part. I had it down pretty well, but I felt so comfortable with it that I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ad lib a little bit here, just towards the end there. I'm going to put in some nice little arpeggio run, and I did that, and it dead nuts on. It felt good. It sounded good. And I heard somebody, probably John, going, oh my gosh,
Yes.
whoa.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I get chills thinking about that still, thinking, oh, wow, okay, that felt good. And I look around and everybody in the band, they're smiling. They're thinking, yeah, this is
like,
this is
yeah.
good.
Mhm.
We have something special.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, that it was probably not until about 6 months later when we ended up releasing our earlier drummer that we had and bringing Justin in that I knew that we had something really, really special.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to cast aspersions with the original drummer that we had. He was very competent, very solid drummer, but there was something missing in terms of the feel. And you know, we were at that point after 5 or 6 months of analyzing everybody's keystrokes, everybody's drum hits. I mean, everything. We were analyzing. We had the spectrum analyzer out, looking at waveforms to see,
getting deep to get this right.
to get it right. And I always liken it to the fact that, you know, if you took Steve Howe, great guitar player from Yes, and said, Steve, here, we're going to get rid of Keith Richards and play Rolling Stones. You're going to be lead guitarist in Rolling Stones. Steve Howe couldn't do it. He would not be able to play Keith Richards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain feel about this, and I think we can talk more about this later, but that's the thing about tribute bands. You can play the music, but you have to have a certain feel of the music. You have to have a certain sense of how it's supposed to be played.
Absolutely. And that's what it was, I think, for me, too. Like you said, lightning in a bottle. Mm-hmm. It was, okay, there's a Pink Floyd band. Okay, I'm in. Let's play some Floyd, you know, and I'm down. But from early on, I think once we brought in Ray and he started kind of putting together a live rig for us to play through, we started getting our in-ears. And everybody is, you know, rehearsed a little bit. We know the songs well from our life, and we've, you know, honed them a little bit. We came in for those first rehearsals, and we got to record them. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I've never gotten to record the first rehearsals with a band. But we heard the recordings that night, and it was like, what? Do you hear this? Mm-hmm. Like, I think we all, like, showed our friends or our wives. We're like, this is awesome, right? And everyone was like, yeah, this is really good. So I think it was like, okay, wait, there's something here. This could be something.
Right.
You know, whereas many musicians, you release that desire at some point to, you know, you think you're going to find your foursome and you're going to take over the world, but like actually finding the right group of people, your right team takes time. Mm-hmm. And it's not always when you're 23 years old that you find that team to just take over the world with. It takes time and persistence and finding the right people. And that's what I think happened here is we all come from very different backgrounds, musically, and you know, even regionally, and whatever. We all met here on this west coast of Florida.
Right.
So it's the fates, you know, and I think a tie that binds us, besides our love for Pink Floyd, everybody in the band, I think everybody in this band really feels music deeply, on a deep level. Whereas I think everybody in the band understands the marketing aspect of music on a totally abstract, weird level, but the musical, artistic aspect, I think, affects everybody in a major, deep way. It's more than just a pastime for us. Is that true for you guys? It's true for me.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely, over the years, I've seen my musical interests evolving in ways that I didn't even know possible. And I think the biggest shift for me happened to be our trip to Abbey Road in England. Ironically, I fell in love with the Beatles. We went on a trip to record an iconic Pink Floyd album, and I found myself living real life moments that connected me to kind of the setting that was England, that was, you know, the Beatles.
That is awesome.
So I found that I'm constantly pulling back from that now for influence, and yeah.
Right on.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I've been a Beatles fan since I was a very little kid, and so being at Abbey Road was extraordinarily special to be in that space where the Beatles were and Pink Floyd was.
One of the things that I found too is that they created an environment that made you completely comfortable, that shut out really a lot of the outside world when you step foot in the studios in those spaces. And I think that's one of the reasons why we put forth some of those strong performances that we did in Abbey Road, to really kind of, because like you're around the culture, the hustle and bustle of being around the streets and the people yelling, and all of a sudden you step foot into this holy grail of soundscape, like exploratory places. And I feel that was a great place for us to not only learn about ourselves as a band, but to like spread ourselves further into the catalog of Pink Floyd.
Absolutely. It was a totally immersive experience, and so much history there, where, we felt that on a deep spiritual level. Even though we were feeling other things on a deep physical level that weren't so great.
Yeah, we're not feeling too well. A lot of us.
There was a lot of jet lag, a lot of homesick feelings, a lot of, but also like giving us the sense of family, of being around one another to help us all kind of
totally
uplift
lifted
ourselves.
Us.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And that opportunity, that doesn't come from to everybody. It doesn't come to everybody at all. Especially a band that's been in existence in the People's experiences for 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah,
right?
just about.
And before that it was less. Before we did it, it was less than that. It was 3.5 years or so. Not everybody gets that to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why us? Why did we get that? And I think, in no small part, just because of how we've kind of structured this from the beginning, as we saw the talent that was existing in the room and heard what the result was. Well, we knew we had to, at some point, wrap this all together and package it somehow. But I had no idea how to do that, and I think several of us didn't. I think this is a place where Bob came in a major way and helped us kind of, because of your experience. Talk about your background a little bit and where you come from, that helped us kind of structure ourselves in a way that's more than just a couple guys playing guitars.
Sure. Well, I'd also point out that John is a big influence as well, because John comes from a business background as well. He has his own business. But it was probably in my close to 25 years old. I was married with 2 children and a third one on the way. And it became apparent that my music career was probably not going to materialize into the blossoming career that I had hoped it would be. Fortunately, though, I had a few years earlier, I got into the industry of cable TV. And it turned out that I really, really liked cable television. So what I did in cable TV was I started off constructing cable TV systems. I'd climb telephone poles and those big 500-foot antennas and build those satellite dishes. And
he was the guy that got to climb those things. That's
cool. It was a lot of fun. So putting the wires up on telephone poles.
Sweating just hearing this.
Yeah.
Terrified of heights.
Oh God, it was a lot of fun. In fact, I took the job in the spring of one year because I heard that, well, hey, you work for 6 months, then you get laid off in the wintertime, because I was up in north at that time near Cleveland, Ohio. And I thought, well, this is great. I can work for 6 months, get laid off, collect unemployment for 6 months, and go back to playing music and that sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they never laid us off in the wintertime. I worked all through the winter, and it was just brutal. Climbing telephone poles in the snow.
Metal
and
poles, right?
Well, the wood poles you got to climb,
wood, okay,
but the tall ones, they're metal ones for sure.
You can't even feel the poles. Your hands are numb.
Oh yeah, your toes are numb. It's terrible.
God.
Just terrible.
Okay.
But I loved the work. I loved being outside, and I was in a different place all the time, and it turned out to be a pretty good gig, and we ended up moving to Texas, where it was warmer weather, my wife and I, and because if I'm going to work outside, I'm going to work out where it's warm.
Sure.
And I started taking a 2-year program in electronics, because the field of electronics was good for both my music career and for the cable TV career, because I'm a keyboard player.
You're doing
with a lot
synth
of
stuff,
synthesizers, and I'm always repairing all my analog keyboards anyway. So
That's cool.
so having an electronics degree helped from that standpoint. But as I said, by the time I'm hitting 25, and I'm at that point where all the bands that I've been in at this time, except for maybe one, they just didn't have the right chemistry of people. The guys would want to get together for a couple of rehearsals just to get out of the house and maybe play a gig once a month, kind of thing.
It's classic. Yeah,
and that just wasn't for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to go back to school at that time, and with a reckless abandon, I was going to study electrical engineering, and I had to do all the mathematics and all that stuff in preparation for that. And then I was taking a prerequisite physics course, and I fell in love with physics, so I changed my majors to physics and minored in electrical engineering and math.
we get it, Bob. You're smart.
No,
we
no, no.
understand.
From the mad scientist himself, Bob Harris.
But I then went on to continue my career in cable television, and I was in the ground floor of a lot of different new technologies, RF amplifiers, fiber optics, microwave communication systems, satellite communication systems, internet
So
technology.
you were seeing these burgeoning as new industries.
Oh yes, I was
and
on the
new
ground
technol-
floor. Yes,
That's incredible.
that was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of great experience doing that, and again being on the ground floor of developing these technologies, and along the way I was in a lot of different startup companies. I worked for mom and pop startup companies. I worked in small Silicon Valley startup companies. I worked in larger companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies, mid-sized companies, and so I got an experience of working with a variety of different environments of fast pace, rapid change, constantly changing. How do you continue to stay on the forefront and outbid or out compete the next competitor that's out there?
Right.
So that was kind of in our mindset. Along the way, I also did a master's degree in business as well. So I think doing that for a number of years certainly helped prepare me for what we're doing in Floyd Nation. I left that career a few years back and with the idea of just taking a year off, but after a year or so, I realized that the pace I was doing was way too much. I was traveling 45 weeks a year. I was traveling all over the world. I loved doing it. I had a great time doing it. Had a great team of people working with me, but I needed to get away from that pace.
Sure.
And after I was away for a year or two, I started rekindling my interest in music. I've been a lifelong musician, but I just haven't had a lifelong career as a musician. And so I went back to playing music and played in a variety of different bands and a bunch of different opportunities I did here in Florida, and then ultimately found Floyd Nation. So when everything came together with Floyd Nation, it was pretty obvious that we were a startup company, basically, and so there's certain things you can do as a startup,
Right.
and like John, for example, is a great typical founder kind of person. We're all founders of this business, but he's kind of a good founder, iconic person where he's always looking at the next thing. He's always looking very optimistically at the next thing, and you kind of give
Absolutely.
that person a little bit of free rein to go out and do things. And sometimes you go the wrong way, sometimes you go the right way, but you have to have that freedom. And
It's taking risks and
It is.
it's being authentic.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
the key. Is I think to a lot of our success is the authenticity behind what we do.
Yes,
And
it is.
how we go forth and we get a big idea and we just make it happen, and whatever happens, it happens. And I think a lot of the times we're rewarded for going out on that limb.
Mhm.
But I think Bob, you really helped me and Justin come together to kind of create a plan for what kind of the brand of Floyd Nation would be.
Sure.
And that was something I was totally unfamiliar with. When I would start a band, it would be about music. Okay, what are we going to play? How are we going to play it? How are we going to sound? And that was it for me, And a couple of years ago, a close friend in a band had said to me, he was a little more experienced, and he said, when you get into this business, you think you're in the music business, but you've really entered the marketing business. and my heart sunk.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I hate marketing. I think that's the devil. I think, like music is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to think, but now I've embraced the devil, and I think it's such a cool thing to think about, is marketing yourself in an authentic way. It doesn't have to be a soulless, disgusting thing. It can be, no, this is what we're doing, and it's really cool, and this is who we are. Like, if you're doing it from an authentic place, marketing is fun, and you're creating the brand for Floyd Nation.
It doesn't have to
been fun.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad word. And it's a good point, because one of the things that I found out that some of the best things to do, whether you're in charge of a large corporation, thousands of people, or whether you're head of a division with thousands of people or hundreds of people, or a department, or even a small working group, if you have a mission, if you have an identified mission of what it is you're trying to accomplish, how do you want to do it, and what do you want to be when you're done doing it? And I was pretty adamant about us identifying that early on, because you could make the argument, well, it's too early to do that, but I don't think it's ever too early to just set your sight on what are your goals, what is it you want to accomplish, how do you want to get there, and then what are the values? Because once you have that written down, you don't just throw it off to the side. You keep it front and center. You always go back to it. And when you come to a crossroads, a particular decision you have to make, you then say, well, should I go this way or this way? Well, what is our mission? Does doing this or that improve our mission?
Right.
Does it get us to the direction where we're going? Does it get us where we want to be?
Right.
And you two were very instrumental in writing that too.
Yeah, and we're totally going to share that in a little bit. I want to talk about a couple other things first, because I wanted to segue from that authenticity. I think, coming back around to why we do this. That's kind of the theme of the whole episode, I guess. So we come from all these different musical backgrounds together, where we didn't really know each other before. We're found essentially by Conrath, basically, and put together. We come from all these different musical backgrounds, but we can't help but represent ourselves on stage. I'm curious about, before Pink Floyd was ever a gleam in your eye, and before it was ever in your ear, what was shaping you musically? I mean, for me, I think I started listening to music sometime around the time I was 9 or 10. This is like 92, 93 or so, and the radio was full of alternative music that was the mainstream, was the alternative. So that's that was my entry into pop music, was a totally alternative and fantasy world, because it was never like that before or after. But it was hard rock. It was hard rock with edge, and even when I was born in 83, MTV came out a year before that. Edginess was just part of the culture. You had, Liberty Spikes and punk rock, and, earrings were edgy at the time. Remember, like
tattoos.
Yeah. Theo Huxtable getting his earring, it was like a big deal.
What were you listening to most?
Well,
at that time?
Like I said, when I first found music, that wasn't my parents' music, in the car. That was, something on the radio that I was discovering or friends were bringing to school. It was like Beastie Boys.
Okay.
There was some Van Halen. There was Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and then like the radio rock stuff. I started finding mixtapes that maybe my brother was making in his room, and it was full of just stuff on the radio, and it's like Soundgarden.
Back, you would record straight from the radio.
Yeah, just put the tape recorder right on the alarm clock radio, and you click record when the song comes on. Hope the DJ shuts up before.
Right.
Everybody knows that everybody did it.
You hear all the radio edits in your personal songs.
Yes, exactly. But it was like, Violent Femmes, and occasionally, you'd hear like Comfortably Numb would get played. I didn't know who it was. I dug the song. I liked it, but they'd cut off the guitar solo for radio.
Of course,
so it was
of
like,
course, yeah.
all right. I was like, it's Supertramp or something. I don't know.
Well, it's funny. Like the first time I heard that song on the radio, I think I was like 7 or 8, And I remember specifically the guitar solo being like the extended cut.
Oh.
And listening to
Oh, good
that
for you.
for the first time with my dad in his truck. We were going up to the corner store, maybe picking up some milk or dinner or whatever.
Sure.
And that song kicked on, and like I said, being that young, not knowing about specific instruments or how they're played, it connected with me in a way where I'm watching my dad air guitar to this thing, and it spoke to my soul, and it was something I knew I was going to remember and connect with my entire life. And to this day, when that solo kicks on, I think about that
can't
sunset
help.
kicking in, driving down the road, and just watching how music can make people feel and make them move. Because watching it all happen in real time, being that young, I knew it was going to stick with me forever, and it has.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm wondering. Is like, but prior to that Pink Floyd moment,
I was like 6.
Oh, so it happened young, and you were like, "That's Pink Floyd," and that.
Well, before I knew like what Pink Floyd was, it was like for whatever reason that Pink Floyd was on all the time when I was growing up. So I just started slowly connecting that guitar tone.
You were really connected to it. Throughout. It was your parents' music, so you were kind of embedded in it. Right on. Yeah. For me, it was like Metallica was my first, I think, big love of a band. Like and that stuck with me for years. That my first obsession was Metallica, where I would just play the records over and over and over again.
Wow.
And no, that's me. Sorry. Yep, there you go. But I would play those albums just over and over, and I was all about it. And I'd be in the mirror, when I'm supposed to be doing my homework with an air guitar, just like fronting the band, like that was what I was doing.
Got the broom as the mic stand.
It was like I was doing some homework. It wasn't my assigned homework.
Well, it's paid off.
Yeah.
It has paid off because you look good up there.
The thing is, though, Hetfield is so part of my performance. No one can know that. No one can see that, but like he is with me every gig. I love that guy. Yeah.
He's got "So What" written on your guitar.
Right. Yeah. There's something there, but yeah, like but that, and then I think maybe I even found Dave Matthews Band was the first soft stuff I was finding that wasn't heavy guitars and stuff. And then he's another great front man, so I feel like he's with me every gig too. There's something about his authentic stage presence that's with me that I feel like I bring. What about you guys? Do you have something like from before Pink Floyd that shaped you that you feel like you're also kind of bringing to your own performance that isn't really Pink Floyd related?
Well, I remember my very first time of hearing the Beatles, and I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I was in the car with my mother. We were picking up her friend. My mother was divorced, and her friend was divorced, and we were picking her up from her job. It was late at night, and I was sitting in the seat with my mother's friend, Marlene, and she was this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous woman, blonde hair, big bosoms, and I was sitting on her lap, and I had my head in her bosom, and I'm
Nice.
falling asleep. And I'm really comfortable, and on the radio, A Hard Day's Night is playing. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, there's two things I like in this world right now. I like where my head is at, and I like this music. And
I love that.
yeah, that was the defining moment in my life. But later on, I
So this is like that before clip before the podcast starts. That's what we're gonna play before we
yeah, do that.
Edit out the.
But I remember when a few years later, when I Am the Walrus and Strawberry Fields played on TV, they put out the video.
Sure, yeah,
And
iconic.
I'm thinking to myself, I was 7, 8 years old, whatever, thinking, wow, this was amazing music, and just everything about it was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up at that age, up until my mid-teens or so, I would say I was a child of the AM radio for the most part. I loved whatever was on AM radio at the time, pop music. So Elton John and the Beatles, of course, and the Carpenters and Paul Simon.
Right. And just AM radio just never changed. They just kept playing that.
Yeah, they kept playing it. That's right. Unfortunately. But I also loved Motown music. And Saturday mornings, there's this program called Soul Train that was on. A lot of my friends were watching American Bandstand Saturday morning, but I was watching Soul Train because I loved Motown.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And we always had country music playing in the house as well, so Johnny Cash and that kind of music, Buck Owens and Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell. But my mother also had a bunch of albums, kind of random albums. She must have been part of that Columbia Publishing House thing. And so she had a bunch of these various albums, and she had a lot of film scores. And I loved film scores. Just 10 years old, and I play the theme to 2001 or the soundtrack to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Wow.
Every day, multiple times a day. Dr. Zhivago, the soundtrack from Dr. Zhivago. I mean, I'm playing that all the time, and I'm thinking this is normal because I love this music.
I'm thinking this is normal.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is what a 10-year-old little kid likes this. And so it wasn't until I was in high school when I was exposed to Pink Floyd and Yes and Genesis and Jethro Tull and Led Zeppelin that it was
what
like
a time.
What a time that was. That was an amazing time to be. And I think one of the reasons why I like Pink Floyd so much is that in many ways, they're especially their long format songs, Echoes and Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Dogs, and all these, they have sort of a cinematic quality to them. They have a story, kind of like a movie line embedded within them, and it's amazing.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. Cinematic, almost distorted, because they're grouped in a lot with prog rock, but I mean that's debatable. We know in the Pink Floyd community, there's some who are like, it's not prog, and others who are like, it's definitely prog. What are you talking about? And is it or isn't it? Because it's really, if it's prog, it's long, but it's kind of basic for prog, where you've got ELP and Yes, who are much more complex.
Oh, absolutely.
By comparison. It's easy to put Pink Floyd maybe in an extended pop genre, rather than a prog genre.
Well, Pink Floyd, actually, I would say that they defined two specific genres. They not only played those genres, they defined those genres: psychedelic,
sure, absolutely,
space rock, psychedelic.
100%, yeah.
They were part of that scene, and they progressed into like a progressive blues sort of thing. So they owned those fields. They owned those two genres.
Yeah,
I've always called their music sonic theatrics.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like you could close your eyes
definitely.
and just watch a circus just play out for a lot of their soundscapes, and I've always enjoyed that about, because like it's almost as if you'll learn something new every time you just sit down and listen to a part that you think you've routinely heard 1,000 times. There's always some little like nuance or pickup that you'll pick up on, and I've always found that to be like a main theme of Pink Floyd's music.
Yeah, that's one thing I think that's so profound, especially with this band here, is that here I thought I was an expert at this music, and I knew all about it. I was very, very anal when it came to crafting the sounds and doing sound design. And then I met Brendan, and he's on a whole different level.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But there's things that you hear that I had for 40 years. I've been listening to this, and now there's something different.
And there's something new that
There's
you're
something
hearing
new in
underneath there that they snuck in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes the right sound system or the right setting or the right frame of mind to be open and say, okay, let me hear more.
Yeah.
Let me focus on the drums. Let me focus on nothing else. Just listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
We were listening to that first synth solo in Welcome to the Machine in the middle part where there's those breaks. And we were listening to that for, our recording purposes. And it's like, wait, there's timpani in there? Like, I never...
Yeah.
I've listened to this so many times to learn this song. I never heard the timpani in there, and now I'm like, I can't miss it now.
To be fair, the drummer knew all about that timpani part.
Yeah,
I wanted to do it so
glad
bad.
you did.
Yeah. I was looking forward to that.
You passed the test, Justin. So, I mean, yeah, and once it happened for me with Pink Floyd, it was Breathe. That was, I think, the song that played the movie in my mind, like as I heard it. Clean guitars, but totally put me in a dream state. That's the song for me. You said Comfortably Numb. Like, what's the song that, like, you're like, I need to dive into this band?
Yeah, that would be the first song I ever heard was Money. That was on the radio.
Yeah.
But I was a kid at that time, and I'm thinking, Money, very clever lyrics, very catchy song, but it didn't register that that's Pink Floyd.
Right.
A couple years later, though, I'm in high school, and we have this study hall where very liberal setting where they allow you to listen to records during study hall for cultural enrichment. So that's great. And my friend knew that I loved film scores and long songs, and he said, "Hey, my brother's got these records. Let's listen to them. They've got a long song here." And the first song was Echoes that I heard. Put the headphones on.
Oh wow,
And
that's your. Oh man,
that was the introduction. And I remember remember thinking to myself, boy, I'm glad this study hall is 40 minutes long, because it's a 23-minute long song. And after we get done playing it, I'm thinking to myself, I need another 10 minutes just to compose myself, because this was like, I had no idea that this music was out there. It's like the perfect summation of a long film score, and but not in a film score environment. It's rock and roll. It's electric guitars. It's synthesizers. It's everything you could have dreamed.
right?
of.
And how are you supposed to sit through Spanish class after that?
Right.
Yeah, right. I just took a trip to infinity and back. I need to have a little jet lag. Give me a second.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about, so all this adds up to, the way that we feel about music. We kind of want to affect all those people, the same way that we get affected, and we kind of embedded that into the mission of Floyd Nation, and that was with Bob's guidance. Like he was saying before, he kind of helped us come up with a mission. Mm-hmm. So our mission statement, we'll read it here for you today because we printed it, so we don't want that paper to go to waste. So, but no, our mission, Floyd Nation's mission, is to take our audience on an epic journey immersed in the art, legacy, and spirit that is Pink Floyd. We aim to engage, inspire, and unite the world's community of Pink Floyd fans one live performance at a time. We are Floyd Nation, and so are you. So what does that all mean, guys? Like, what is it? It's just words on a page? Is it just, does it sound good, sound flowery, or like, what does that mean to Floyd Nation?
I mean, like every individual word. This is gonna take a while.
Yeah, I know. I brought the dictionary. So.
Hour from Latin base.
But take our audience on an epic journey, even. Take our audience on an epic journey. That's pretty subjective, but I think that epic journey for me, that's the journey that Floyd takes me on. It's the intention to take the audience on that journey that you're taking on when you listen to a record.
Yeah, it's both a sonic and a visual journey, but it's also an emotional journey. We want the audience to feel the emotions, the emotional roller coaster that can be in a Pink Floyd song.
Hence the cinematic element there, So, and the art and legacy and spirit. I mean, these are all like just really kind of vague terms, but to a Floyd fan, I think they all mean a lot.
Mm-hmm. They're constant themes that throughout listening to and being a part of their music, you can feel. And I feel like when you can pick up on what the musicians on stage are putting out and what they're feeling, that's when you know the real magic is coming across the entire venue.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what I said before, like how do we translate that to everyone in a way that is accurate to ourselves. Like how we're feeling, like we're in that room rehearsing and then realizing that we have magic and lightning in a bottle. How do we portray it to the audience?
And I think I think one thing in particular is we don't really think about it when we're doing it. I think we strive to be authentic in when we're doing it. I think that because we all love the music so much, it means so much to us that all we really have to do is just be authentic, be ourselves, and present it in the best possible way that we can present it, and the people tend to respond that way.
And that's the next thing is, it's funny, we aim to engage, inspire, and unite the world's community of Pink Floyd fans. Hence Floyd Nation. We are Floyd Nation, like we're the band, and so are you. You're part of the nation because you're a fan. It's uniting us in that spirit of this music has affected us all in this deep way. Mm-hmm. It's not a cult, but it's churchy, like like as far as like Pink Floyd goes, we're going to celebrate Floyd. And just that feeling that it leaves us with when we listen to those records.
Yeah, and we treat our performances like holy ground as is, too. It's kind of a sacred ritual that we go through of bringing everyone in on this world that we find so brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fans respond in kind with that because I think we bring the intention to do so. They leave so affected. I mean, this last run... 3 shows, I had people say things similar to like, you opened my heart, or, my heart was just wide open, just variations on things about my heart being affected by what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I can't ask for anything more as a musician. I can't ask for more than that. That's all I aim to do is open a heart, because what's the power of a performer is you have an entry into people's hearts if you can get them to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And that comes from your own vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly.
So if that give and take is happening, I mean, I'm so thankful.
Yeah, people have come up after the show literally in tears.
Yeah.
And just or shaking. They're saying, "Oh my God, it was such an emotional impact." And a lot of times they'll talk about their lives. They'll talk about the troubles they're going through in life. They'll talk about a lost loved one. But this concert helped them through that. This show helped them to feel something, feel alive again, or feel special, feel close to that person they lost. It's just, what an amazing thing to have done.
I'm seeing like a generational kind of thing happen too, where a lot of Floyd fans are bringing their children out to see us, and it's like we're their first concert.
Right.
So it's like we're their introduction to live music, and it's a very humbling thing to see that, and to see how proud their parents are of like I'm raising them right.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting some good music.
How different is this, Justin? Now, Justin has a background in touring before Floyd Nation with original music and things like that. I mean, how does this differ in light of your different experience? You were playing very different music. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
This is much more comfortable. Okay. Much more. It's nice, having a shower and not living out of a van, and clean clothes, and
occasionally, yeah.
Because I feel like when you first start out, like you have the mentality of like, I'm resilient. Like these are the years I'm just gonna go for it and just figure it out. I can live anywhere. I can make anything happen. I have so many options. I'm not really tied down. So, yeah, let's go and jump on the road for a few weeks with a band that I rarely have spent time with outside of being in a van with.
Right.
And luckily, I've been very lucky to learn a lot and to have some really good experiences doing that. But it makes me really appreciate the ways in which we travel and the kind of crowds that we interact with and our level of production. So I think there's levels to all these things, and I think that this is just new heights that I'm reaching when it comes to opening myself up to Pink Floyd music and where this thing is really taking all of us.
Very cool, yeah. And This whole thing is based on a lot of the good faith of the members, and we talked about the mission, but Bob also helped us come up with our values, and I never thought about that when I was coming into a band either. But we came up with a few that mark what we do, and some of the overarching ones are respect, authenticity, excellence, excellence at your instrument. Authenticity is one of our values, whereas we really want to bring ourselves forth and be real, not offer ourselves as something that we're not.
Right.
Not try and act like we're going to replace Pink Floyd. We're not. We didn't write any of this stuff. We know that. We acknowledge it. We just respect it and love to play it.
I think Sony has a lot to say about that.
Yeah, Sony might. Well,
they do. Yeah, we respect Sony.
We respect their position.
Yeah. Well, when we say respect, we mean we respect one another, and that's front and center. We respect every one of us within the band individually as musicians, as people. We give equal footing, equal time to one another. We may have disagreements, but it's always a camaraderie. It's always a respectful disagreement.
Always.
We respect the music, the band, Pink Floyd. We don't want to disrespect them in any way. We don't want to bring a bad image to Pink Floyd itself, and we respect our fans as well. And so, respect is a pretty large category, but those three general areas are all pretty important.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is coming up next? I mean, so we've got a northeastern run coming up in October.
Yes,
and then we're gonna have a Florida run in November, which I'm really excited about. I love coming back home. Our Florida people are so supportive. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I'm excited to show off the newly designed light Show by Sam Gothrop, and shout out to Sam. Yeah, great job on that light show. It looks incredible. We've got our new screen. Some of the video that I've seen from the last run, some of those are pretty epic. So Have a Cigar is like what I've always kind of envisioned for us, that look. I love that so much. So that was really awesome. The single that we have, Welcome to the Machine. So that's dropped. That's on now Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. You can find it, I'm pretty sure. Floyd Nation, Welcome to the Machine. If you haven't heard that yet and you're listening to this, I don't know where you've been. You got to listen to the single. Welcome to the Machine. We've gotten some fantastic reviews that I agree with. Bob, your synth solo was, I don't want to say epic because everybody says epic. Like, it was just beyond what I was imagining, though.
It really came through nice, didn't it?
The layering was fantastic. And so one of the great reviews we said was like the synths were scary, and I was like, yes, they were. I like that.
That's what we're going for. Yeah.
Spoopy.
But I loved how the song really captured the modern Machine, which is different than the Machine of 1975 that he was talking about. It's a different Machine now, and it's a little scarier.
It's
and I like that it was. I think we did something here by helping modernize that song.
Well, that's the thing with Floyd Nation. We stay within the framework of the song, but we allow ourselves to put a little bit of our own personality into it as well.
Yes,
and it comes through in that.
Yeah. There's a real modern drive, I feel like, to all of our music.
Oh, and you're drumming, obviously, which is absent on the original, which just it brings this power.
Well, just in all of us too, because we all have such a strong emotional connection to this material, and it can't help but come out in our performances. You know, and I feel like we really captured that with these recordings.
Yes,
and you really hear them.
Yeah. One nice thing about this is that when we were in Abbey Road, we had access to a VCS3.
There it is. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah.
Synthy. And it was not the original one that Pink Floyd used, but it was one of the early models that was used during that time. And so we were able to capture some of those Machine sounds off of that off of that synthesizer itself from the studio. So it was,
and so yeah, they're authentic mixed with some modern tech.
exactly,
Also.
yes.
The marriage was just so thick and juicy. It's like coming out of your speakers. It's incredible. I love listening to it. I've listened to it over and over.
Gooey.
Gooey.
So that's coming out, and then the record is going to be coming out imminently. I've seen some of the album art.
Oof, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It can be cool.
I'm really excited about it. I like what we put together with the company and all their help, and I really I'm excited for people to look at. I was talking to John about it. And when you're looking through an album when you were a kid and like seeing like these weird worlds and like they were a little mysterious and scary and your brain didn't have all the capacity to put it all together yet. It was just you were making your own story out of it. I feel like a kid that comes to our show and opens, it's going to have that same experience. They're going to be able to look at it and like just imagine like what's happening here. It's it's very abstract yet also with a theme and a message.
Yeah, there's a strong sense of surrealism, I feel like, with this art.
Yes.
Kind of like you said, it's classic ideas mixed in with these modern,
with a
modern media.
major surprise that we're not going to reveal here for the packaging and the art. It looks great, but it's also I can't
Check
say
it out.
I can't say too much. You gotta see this. So anyway, so besides that, guys, I think we touched on everything today. Anything else you guys want to talk about or add? We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to Vox Studios for having us today. This was.
Yep. Thanks again. Thanks, Peter, for engineering again, man.
And thanks to all of our fans too that are out there. They're following us. I mean,
thanks for listening to this 100%.
One thing that I didn't expect or didn't anticipate in doing this is that we would develop a following of people that will get into a car and drive 4 or 5 hours to see us, or they'll pop on an airplane to go see us. And we're not talking about one or two. We're talking dozens of people.
There's many of them
that
who
will
come
follow
far.
us.
Yeah.
They're multiple states away. Freddie and Samantha, Kendall, Ariel. I mean, there's all these people that come to see us.
Yep, Matt. Yep, so many
Matt,
of them. Yeah,
it's just it's heartwarming. It's very humbling too to know that we're having that impact on people's lives. It's not something that we take lightly. I think we take it very seriously. That
Catherine,
we want to make sure that we are always putting our best product forward, our best face forward.
Absolutely, and that it goes back to the mission, and that's why it's not just words. It's the mission. It's our goal for you, because we see you as us. Fans like us.
Right.
We're happy to be here doing this. We're happy you're here with us. That's the nation, right? So, I don't know. I think with that, maybe we can sign off, yeah?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. I think the plan is for next time I'm going to get you back here, Bob.
Yep.
And we're going to talk a little more about those synth sounds and how you design those. And we're going to have Brendan and Ray to talk about some other sound design.
And I'm
on
sleeping
the
in.
album, on the on our live shows and stuff like that. So we get it kind of like techie musical next time and see how that goes. So we'll see you guys next
See you
time.
next time.
Thank you guys so much.